Hi, Suffolk Middle School Band Kids. This is Mr. Y live from the Arrington House with the kids helping out. Kids, say hi.
Hi.
Okay, we're going to talk tonight about how to take care of brass instruments. Okay, I've got here a trumpet. I've got here a trombone that we're going to work on a little bit. First of all, I'm going to talk about basic maintenance, things you should do every time you play or about once a week, maybe twice a week. Then we're going to go in the bathroom and I'm going to show you how to give your instrument a bath. That's something you don't do, every week, of course. Maybe once a year, twice a year, that kind of thing. I usually do it around Christmas break, and I usually do it in the summertime for my instruments. My instruments get played a lot, though, so you don't want to do that. If you do take good care of an instrument, it can last a long time. This trumpet right here, I bought from my band director in, I believe it was 1983 or 4. And he bought it from his band director, I think probably in the early 70s or maybe late 60s. This trumpet is on its third band director. You can see it's still in pretty darn good shape. If you do take good care of an instrument, it can last forever, assuming it's a good instrument to begin with, and you don't buy it from Walmart or whatever. Okay, so trumpets. What you should do every time you play, obviously you want to empty your spit valves out. You guys know how to do that. You want to have a cloth that you can wipe off fingerprints with and that kind of thing. That way when you get, if you get anything dirty on it, or your hands, remember, you have oil on them, and when you play, you tend to get oil on them. You can see my trumpets here a little tarnished, just from years and years of use. Some players like to have a little sleeve that they put on here that helps them keep it nice and clean, but you can do the same thing just with a cloth. You can play it with a cloth too if you want. Some people like to do this. But mainly you just keep that in the case, and then wipe the fingerprints off when you're done, put it away. If you give your instrument some TLC, it will like you a lot too. If you take it out and practice once in a while, it'll like you even more. As far as oiling your valves, remember, you're going to oil your valves by taking one of the valves out. I do these one at a time, that way you don't get them mixed up. If you do have to take all 3 valves out at a time, make sure you lay them out on some kind of cloth in sequence so that you know exactly how to put them back in. If you get them back in the wrong holes, it's going to be a mess. You're not going to be able to play for a little while. It takes a little while to figure it out. So for oiling valves on trumpet, remember, you're just going to take your valve oil and put a couple of drops on the silver part. It does not go in the holes. The holes are where the air goes, not the oil. Okay, put it back in the trumpet. You twist it all around a couple of times to get the oil all over the inside of the valve casing. And then, if you listen carefully, you're going to hear the valve click into place as I turn it around. Listen for that safe cracking sound. Ready? Oops, can I do this? There we go. Okay, you felt it click into place there. Then you just screw it back down and you're good to go. The other thing about trumpets and other brass instruments, of course, is that you need to have slides that work. The important one on the trumpet, of course, is the main tuning slide right here. They all should work. The ones that you really work with the most, though, are the main tuning slide right here, and then later on the third valve tuning slide right here. These two, doesn't really matter all that much. But these two should really work, especially your main tuning slide. If your main tuning slide doesn't come out and in really, really easily, you want to take it, clean it off, of course, with, again, an old cloth. I've just got an old sock here. That's all you really need. You can use paper towels for this, too. You want to wipe off all the gunk. You want to take a little teeny bit of Vaseline, not a whole lot. Put it on each slide. And then, when you put it back in, first of all, make sure your slides are going in the right holes. Don't put them in backwards. I usually put mine in one at a time first, and I swirl it all around like this to get the Vaseline all over the inside and each side. And then you put it back in together. Push it all the way in. You can see there's a little bit of Vaseline left there on the end of the thing. Just take your cloth, wipe it off. And then you do want to start with your slide just a little bit open too. That way, if it does get frozen, if you leave it for a long time and it gets stuck like this, the instrument repair guy can get in there with his tools, or I can actually at school, and free that up. Okay, if it's pushed all the way in, that's quite a bit more difficult. So you want to have it just a little bit out. That also gives you a way to tune up. If you're a little bit flat, you can push in and tune up your instrument, of course. Okay, so for trumpets, that's pretty much it. On all valve instruments, you do have to also clean out your mouthpieces. Now, there's a special mouthpiece brush for this. I do have these at school. If you want to purchase one, of course, they're available at any store that would sell trumpets or trombones or any of the brass instruments. But it's just a little teeny brush here. So for cleaning out your mouthpiece, you take your mouthpiece, of course, I'm going to do the trumpet one first. You take your little brush, run a little water through it. Put just a little bit of soap in it. Just dish soap is fine. It's totally cool. Or the soap we have at school. You're going to put your brush in, swirl it all around. Put your brush in from the other end. swirl it all around. I usually like to use a little cloth of some kind also to wipe out the cup here and wipe off the outside. Then you're gonna run some water through it, get it all nice and rinsed off. Dry it off also. And you're good to go. Okay, same thing goes with a larger brass mouthpiece, trombone, French horn, trumpet, anything like that. Okay, they're all the same. As far as piston valves go, you saw how I oiled the piston valves. That would be trumpets and euphoniums, okay, have piston valves. The trombone with an F attachment or the French horn have a different kind of valve, of course. These are called rotary valves. And what they do is when you push them, the valve turns in a rotary kind of fashion, in a circle, instead of going up and down like a piston. Okay, so if you do need to oil your rotary valves, the best way to do it is to take your tuning slide off.
And the trombone, this can be a little tricky because you got to get it exactly straight. And
okay. You're going to take your rotary oil valve, which is a little different than regular valve oil. You can see my rotary valve is right here, and if I put a couple of drops just in the slide that's above it, it's going to fall right down onto that rotary valve. I'm going to put about 5 or 6 drops in there. Then I'm going to work my valve back and forth while holding it so that the act of gravity is going to take the oil down into the valve. You're seeing it's going to get easier and easier to go as I go. I can twist it around a little bit so the oil gets all over the inside of that valve. If you do need to, if it's really frozen, we can take this apart and really grease it up and oil it from inside. That's not something you should do as a student, though. That's something you should do. Give to me, and I'll do it, or to your music store, and they'll do it. Okay, and then you just put everything back together, and you're good to go.
Okay, we're going to go in and talk about giving these instruments a bath, too. That's always a lot of fun.
Yay! Your brass instrument a bath. What you want to do is literally just in the bathtub, draw a little bit of water, put a little soap in it, just regular dish soap is fine. I usually let my instrument soak in there for a good half hour or so before I really mess with it too much. You're going to take all the parts apart, of course, all the valves, all the slides, everything like that, you're going to take apart. I haven't done that here just because I want to save some time when I'm showing you. But you also then want to have a slide snake. These are available at music stores anywhere, or of course I have some at school you can sign out and take home for the weekend if you want to do this. They're about 3 feet long or so, usually. They're good for trombones, trumpets. Trumpets, the most important part that you guys are going to swab out is your lead pipe. That's where most of the gunk goes. So, I'm just going to take your nice swab and run it in and out of there while there's some water in there. Okay, mine is pretty clean right now because I cleaned it pretty recently. Sometimes you'll get this big poof of dirty gunk coming out of there. Not always a fun thing. Even less fun, though, to think of it on your lips because that's where you play your trumpet. The trombone, of course, you do the same thing, just it's in the big slide here. Again, I'm going to down this one side. This is where the 3-foot length really comes in handy here. Push it all the way down to the end. Pull it out a little bit at a time, running it around, getting all the gunk. And then the same thing on the other side. And again, when you take this out, you're going to have to Vaseline all the slides up and everything like that too. I usually clean it off just again with an old rag, another sock here I have, just an old rag, nothing big here. When you take them out, you're going to want to dry them off with a nice clean cloth, and then let them sit for a while before you put them back together. You don't want to put them back together while they're still wet because there's going to be there's going to be moisture on the inside that has to dry too. So you're going to take these out, put them on a towel someplace where they won't be disturbed for a couple hours, leave them alone for a couple hours. Then put everything back together. Again, you're going to have to grease up the slides again, you're going to have to oil the valves again. Okay. Obviously, when you pick this stuff up too, there's going to be a lot of water in there, so you're going to want to be really careful the way you pick this up, or you're going to make a huge mess in your mom's bathroom, which will never be fun for you. Okay, got a lot of gunk in it, you can tell. So that's giving your instrument a bath. Like I said, you do that about once a year. It's not a big deal. Once, twice a year is probably all you need for that. In a couple of minutes after these get put back together, I'll show you trombone players how to grease up your slide and make it really nice and flat. See you then.
Hey Chris, you want to see something fun?
Here, trombone, full water. Whee! Trombones, how to have a nice squeaky clean and really fast kind of slide. What you want to do, first of all, take the whole slide apart. Okay, you can take this part off, of course, Lay it aside carefully so it doesn't get all dinged up or anything. This part right here is the most fragile part of the trombone. If you ding this or get a little dent in it or something like that, you got to take it to the store and get it fixed because nothing will work. You can see it's a little wet still from the bath I gave it. I'm going to clean off my slide, off all the old gunk and stuff. You do need to clean this off about once a week, maybe twice a week if you're playing a lot. Because the old stuff will still be on there and it'll get all gunky and it will attract dirt. All you're going to do is take a little cold cream, Pond's cold cream. Your mom probably has this at home. It's really easy. It smells nice too. Nice. You're going to take a little bit and put it just on the bump of the trombone slide. You can see where the slide gets just a little bit bigger. There's a little bump on it down toward the end. Okay, you don't need a whole lot, just a little teeny bit. Wipe off your hands, and then when you put your slide back on, make sure you do put it on correctly. Remember, the spit valve has to go on the bottom. Okay, you can actually put it on upside down if you're not careful. If you do this, you'll find two things. Number one, your spit valve is on the top, of course, not where it should be. And second of all, your lock won't work either because the lock mechanism is on this side and on this side, and it has to match up. So if you do it correctly, your spit valve will be on the bottom and the lock will work. Okay. When you put it back on, you're going to move that grease all over move that cold cream all over the slide by doing this. Okay, and that's going to make it pretty fast all by itself. But the coup de grace is this. You take your water bottle, you're going to spray just a little bit of fine mist on the trombone slide like so. Don't need a whole lot, just a couple of squirts, and that makes it really, really nice and slick. Okay, that's the way real trombone players do it. And again, it smells nice too because it's cold cream. The test is this. Unlock your slide, put your trombone on the ground, and then you're going to pick it up really quickly without holding onto the slide. If your slide stays on the ground, like so, that means you did a good job. Okay. If it hitches and comes up a little bit before it falls back to the ground, that means there's something wrong that you got to fix. Okay. Again, just a little cold cream, just a little water bottle. I've got this stuff at school, of course. You can always use mine here at school, and you can use your own at home if you want to. Not a big deal. Make sure you are mature with the water bottles, please. I don't want to see any squirting. We don't give second graders instruments on purpose. You need to be a 6th grader, 7th grader, 8th grader, whatever you are. Okay? Any questions? See me in class. I'll be glad to answer them. Bye-bye.